what better person to do this than a Gold Star mom who lost her son and is passionate, but also has the professional experience to do different things. I believe this is my mission. Given by God, and that's what keeps me focused. And when I first went through Joey's medical records, I found there were 5 things that were wrong that I wanted to change, and I was going to change them all. And then I was instructed by my congressman's office, the legislative directors, usually who I work with, the legislative directors, pick one thing. Let's pick one thing and do it right. We're going to go after physicals in person with a blood work. He goes, but you need to get this done before the NDAA. I said, what is that? Well, it's the National Defense Authorization Act, which they do annually. March 1st is their deadline, and there's a whole process, and I learn more and more about the process. I probably know more than most congressmen do about the DOD process. The Senate is done some of their priorities, but they're still gleaning it, and people who aren't on the Senate Armed Services, like our representatives, Cornyn and Cruz, can put an amendment in there to then be in conversation. Are we going to allow that? And they go into conference. Only select members of both the House and the Senate Armed Services Committee are chosen to be on the conference, which then they glean it again, and then it goes before the president. What I want to do, honestly, I want to go before Trump and say, why the hell aren't we doing this? I want to go before Hickseth and go, really? Well, how about you go back to basic physicals? Why aren't we doing that? Let's start with that. Do a basic physical. So, yeah, that's my goal. And now Senator Cornyn and Cruz submitted a bill that's in the Senate. Cruz co-sponsored. Cornyn put it in there June 24th. And they are in small talks now to do a pilot program, which it's a pilot program. It's a way in the door. I will slam that door open a little bit wider. And it's the test pilot is to do a program with 100, 200 soldiers at Fort Hood and another Army installation, but Fort Hood being where Joey died, and also the deadliest installation in the country. I'm all for it. But there's also precedence, because I found through Congressman Fallon's office last month that they've been doing a program with special ops in the Army, physicals, and finding it does make a difference. So I have that precedence too. So that's where we're at.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. Every parent spends years trying to protect their child, from scraped knees to sleepless nights to difficult decisions and uncertain futures. Love often looks like protection. We hope that little by little the world becomes safer for them because we were there. But what happens when a parent reaches the one moment no amount of love can prevent? Some families retreat into private grief. Others spend the rest of their lives making sure what happened to one son or one daughter becomes the reason another family is spared the same heartbreak. Today's conversation is about one of those mothers. Margie Taylor is the mother of Army Specialist Joey Lenz. But if that's all you know about her, then you only know the beginning of the story. Joey's life shaped the woman Margie had always been. His death shaped the mission she never expected to carry. This is not a conversation about tragedy. It's a conversation about what love does when it can no longer protect the person it loves. It's about faith when answers are difficult to find. It's about a mother's determination to pursue the truth, to seek accountability, and to ensure that her son's life continues to make a difference for service members she may never meet. But before we talk about legislation, medical records, or public advocacy, I want you to meet Joey, the son, Margie, the mother, and the extraordinary journey that transformed personal loss into a lifelong commitment to protect others. This is my conversation with Gold Star mother, Margie Taylor. Margie.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome to Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. I'm so excited to have you here today, and I'm so, it's such a blessing. I recently gave a speaking engagement where I used your fire. When I first met you, I felt this fire, and let's get this done. Like the mission, the drive, the heart, the passion, the a little bit of the anger, all of it compressed into one woman. And I was really like, remember this, remember Joey Lenz's name, remember it, and always never forget meeting his mother, Margie Taylor. And so today is a very, very meaningful time, very, very meaningful moment for myself, this podcast, and for people who get to watch us interact with one another. When I was reading the cold opening, what stuck out in your mind?
Love. It's more about love, as a mother loves all of her children. And I have 2 other boys and a daughter, a special daughter, through marriage to my husband, Jeff, of over 26 years. But love is the encompassing factor that you do anything for your children. And in fact, I have many roles in life. That is the one that is the most important, is being a mom. Being a mom. And once you're a mom for the rest of your life.
That's amazing, and it's true, so true. Like, it's weird because I would, one of the things I had to learn about was the life of Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, and to see how she had to bear witness to his suffering, right? That ultimately culminated in his passing. And when I think about that weight as a woman and a mother, it's overwhelming. In my opinion, I think mothers they don't get as much credit as they deserve. Do you agree with that?
I don't think it's about credit.
Okay.
Quite honestly, I've never really thought about it in that manner. We are doers. For the most part, we just do it. We don't put it into a role. Well, I'd cook dinner. I did that. Sometimes, yes, maybe when you're aggravated. But for the most part, we are more action-driven as moms, perhaps, and nurturing, caregiving, all of that. That's just something that you learn to do with your kids. Fathers are too. I'm not saying they're not, but I don't know. It's a different role. I mean, you gave birth to this child for the most part. Some are not, and they still take on the role as a mother. And I'm not putting that down because it is. They're part of your life. But it's like one unit. It's like part of your being. And in my case, I have other kids. Joey was my youngest and largest at 10 pounds and was challenging most of his life. And I mean, he was on the roundabout for sure until he joined the Army, and that seemed to give him a focus. And where I'm at in life, I've always been passionate for the underdog. I've always done different things. Not always. I was very quiet and shy in high school. But as life evolved, I have learned to use my voice to speak up for injustices, things that are wrong, and advocate for the right thing. And there's many instances where I've done this. But Joey's death has made me refocus my passion into doing something that needs to be said. And I am driven, and I believe people are hearing my voice because I'm educating them, and not being angry, not being aggressive, but being honest, having honest conversations, and what we can do to make things better for our active military.
Yeah, my friend has a term. It's called zero gray. Is that kind of similar? Is that you might want to incorporate that? You think that's probably
it could be, yes. I mean, Honestly, it's a no-brainer. I mean, there shouldn't be any controversy about what I'm doing in legislation.
Yeah.
It should not be a topic that people say, no, we can't do this. No, we don't want to do this. I mean, it's about keeping our military healthy.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I believe that Joey's death put me in the role with Joey and God to carry out this mission to help save military lives. And if I save one life through all I do, then I have graced another mom with what I've done. And that's very important. They may never know that anything I did made a difference. And that's okay, because I'm not doing anything to get applause. I just want results. Somebody recently asked me, this person is an elected official in D.C., out of Texas, do you want law or do you want results? I said, damn it, I want results. That's what I want. I don't even have to have my name on it or anything. I just want things to be better, to save another mother, father, sister, brother from going through the angst I've been through.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because we're going to get to a lot of that. But part of me as a son, right, says, I hear the small, still voice of Joey, but talk about my mom. Share, let us see show the world who my mom is. And I want to ask you some questions about who Margie Taylor.
That gets me a little teary-eyed, because that is exactly what Joey would say. That is exactly.
Exactly. I think, yeah, and and I think that's what we're part of what we're here to do to honor Joey as well. So, Margie, after reading your story, I realized something. Most people know you because you've what you've done since Joey's passing, right? I found myself wondering about the woman Joey always knew, the one the rest of us only know are now just beginning to meet. I'd love to start there. Who was she during that time? Who is she? Who is Margie?
I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and started my role modeling at the age of 5 and cutting the others' hair and making meals and doing all the things to nurture my other siblings, and went off to college at 17, still very quiet and shy, not really knowing what direction, but yes, I'll major in whatever just to get it done. Worked in retail for, 20 years, in a buying office for a department store, and buying men's fragrances for what was Foley's department store. Yes, good old Foley's in downtown Houston. Oh, yeah. Worked at Pally Royal, worked at other places, managed stores, and then rolled into the nonprofit world. And I found myself doing things with more passion. Retail didn't give me that same vibe, it gave me background to get out and talk to people and be more outgoing. But once I was in the nonprofit world, I worked for the food bank, and I did all the outreach in the community. I did website content. I learned to write press releases. I was their spokesperson out in the community, and I also advocated for youth with another organization with homeless youth. I went to every secondary school in Montgomery County, Texas, and offered them resources. I advocated for these kids who were great kids, that school was their safe place. And that just gave me a lot of pride that I could see the difference. I worked with 200 unduplicated kids for 5 years, servicing them, getting them food, getting them health care, just helping them any way I can so they could be successful and move on. And I worked for another nonprofit that served the community with anything of their basic needs. I did all that. And then I decided, people kept telling me I need to move into public relations. And I said, well, why do you say that? And they go, because you do all these things and you'd be good at it. Well, I did. 12 years ago in August, I started Taylorized PR. So, going back to it, I have 3 kids, and Jamie, who lives in Northern California, and that she came to me, and she's a great gal. She just celebrated her 36th birthday. Her and Joey are like months apart from each other, and they were always in the same grade. So that was always an interesting time, especially being a boy mom, and then there's a girl. It's just interesting. It's different. There's a little more drama with girls. But I advocated for them whenever they needed. My oldest son is now living in Hawaii, and my second son, Cody, lives in LaPorte, Texas, and I have 7 grandkids. But I, got more involved in the community, and people do know me. People knew me before Joey, of course. I am very connected to all of our elected officials, both in Montgomery County, in the city of Conroe, and then in the state of Texas, and right now, nationally, in Washington, D.C. But it all it was growth. And it wasn't an ambition of mine to do all these things. It was more of an ambition to help people out. So in public relations, I'm able to help more people. Instead of one agency, one nonprofit, one organization, I can help them and all these others continually, and help them with whatever their mission is. If they're nonprofit, if they're for-profit, it doesn't matter, as long as we can work and communicate about what they need to get done. So things have, like you were saying, things change in your life and you move forward, as we all do. We have different chapters. And in the chapter I'm in now is very military driven. And I'm very excited about that, because even though I was passionate about all these other things and speaking up for those that were in need, or vulnerable families or kids or whatever the case is, this is the most important thing to me at this point in my life. And finding that there's something that can be done better for our active military, even before they become veterans, it will also help our veterans, is critical, because we need our military.
Yeah.
Where are we as a country without our military, without a strong military? So it's become, I guess, an obsession. I volunteer at the local VA, and I represent veterans with different organizations and the VFW and so many things. And I'm still helping communities. I'm still helping the downtown Conroe area. I'm still doing all the other things. But my true focus, where I get very passionate, is about the military.
Yeah, it sounds like...
I don't know if that answered you or not.
That answered my question. Yes, it did. Joey's saying, circle back to mom, let her talk about family. I will say this. It sounds like one of my friends, he's a CEO of the Army Scholarship Foundation, says something. He says, family ready is military ready. Is that on point? Is it pretty accurate?
I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly is meant by that. But to me, God and family are the top priorities, and you have to have the support of your family when you're in the military, and they need to understand, because when you are active military, you have to do what you're told to do. You don't have to go check with your wife and see if that's okay first. So they need to be supportive of where you are, if you're being deployed or all of that. And then when you become a veteran, there's probably some obstacles at times. I'm not a veteran, so I'm not living that, but I support veterans. So in that sense, I think, yes, I think that does make sense.
Before Joey became Army Specialist Joey Lenz, he belonged to your family. If I had spent one ordinary Saturday at your house before he ever wore the uniform, what would I have discovered about him that no military record could ever tell me?
Well, that's hard to say, because Joey was pretty outgoing, although he says he never had any friends, which just boggles the mind, because people are consistently coming up to me that didn't know I was Joey's mom, or whether it was social media, they find out all the stuff. But Joey was very well liked in the military. He was well liked with all his high school buddies. He was the one that always made people smile and laugh. And I have that quote. He has a bench dedicated to him at the Montgomery County Veterans Memorial Park in Conroe. And it says, some people make your smile brighter, your laugh louder, and your life better. That was Joey. And he was that person before that. That's who he was. Yes, he would sit and watch TV till late at night, and he did the gaming. What is it called? Live something box, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
I'm not a gamer, so whatever. He was Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox Live. He would do all of that, and he would even do that in the military. And they told stories about that. After his death, I hung out. They had a memorial service at Fort Hood, and for 3 hours, they told me stories of Joey, and they told me I needed to get justice for Joey with somebody in front of the door for 3 hours on a snow-covered outside Fort Hood, and I didn't know exactly what that meant, and I don't think they really did either, but he was being targeted in the Army, but whatever. That's not the main thing, but people loved to be around him, and that's how he was. I mean, he liked crawfish. He liked to have fun. He did the disc golf.
Oh, okay.
He was a skateboarder. He was always a skateboarder, and he just enjoyed life. But really what he loved the most were kids. He was a sensitive guy, and you wouldn't come out and just know that unless you really knew Joey, because he wouldn't try to show that. He would mask it with laughter and jokes and things like that.
Yeah.
But he loved my granddaughters, his nieces, Timmy, my oldest son. He would rather hang out with them and jump on the trampoline than go hang out with friends or anybody else. He would rather spend time in a princess tent inside. He was that guy. That was his wish in life, was to have kids. And what's interesting is the summer before he passed away, August, let's say, of 2021, he would ask me, Mom, should I get a surrogate? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, I want to have kids. I said, well, I think you got plenty of time. We don't really need to talk about that. But he never talked about having a wife or a girlfriend or any of that. It was always, Mom, I need to have kids. I want to have kids, a dog, and a cat.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he didn't have any of those things. He did have a cat for a while, Ava, which when she passed away, it was devastating to him. And we laid her to rest with other dogs when we had property. And I found out later, I didn't know this, but when we went through his car, when we were able to get it from Fort Hood, there was cat food in there. And he gave it to stray cats. That's who Joey was.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And so on his graveside, I have a Paul McCartney quote that says, you can tell a man's true character by how he treats his fellow animals.
Wow.
That's Joey. He has a dachshund and a soft, nice kitty cat on his gravesite because he loved animals and kids.
Wow. Well, I feel bad now for my cats right now. I feel bad.
That's okay. Joey's entertaining him.
We built the walls, how they have the things. I said, at least we're going to make this a little playpen for them or whatever. So
nice.
That's beautiful. Being so wanting to help the helpless cats and feeding, just very nurturing and soulful, huh?
He just made people, animals, everything. He just wanted to be out with the animals. He goes, Mom, I could talk to animals better than I can human beings. I said, most people would agree with you on that one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. While preparing for today, I kept coming back to one thought. Somewhere along the way, you stopped speaking only as Joey's mother and started carrying his name into places he never had a chance to go. Do you remember when you realized those were no longer the same responsibility?
That's an interesting question. So all I'm imagining is that this is Washington, D.C., because I honestly had never been to Washington, D.C. until after Joey died. And I was amazed that I was there. And it was kind of honoring. I thought that was honoring him and his life. and when I went to the Lincoln Memorial, and when I walked the halls of D.C. on both the House and the Senate side. And each time I get that feeling that, yes, I am taking my son with me. And I don't know if that's exactly what you mean by that question, but to me, that's taking him someplace where neither of us have ever been.
Yeah, no,
And
that is it.
you know, he had not been to Hawaii. So when I was there in November to visit my oldest son, Timmy, and his family and my granddaughters, I was there on his birthday in November, and we all got fresh flowers, and we threw them out to the water on his birthday. He hadn't done that before either. And I know he was there. And I know he was there when I see sunsets, sunrises and sunsets.
Yeah.
And he's there in nature. So he travels with me all the time, but specifically Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I could see, I understand that responsibility is they were no longer the same. Now you're still his mother. Now we have to be his protector, right? You're going to represent him as a force of protection for other people.
But the way I look at it, he's taking care of me. I believe that Joey is always with me. Joey and God are always with me. That Joey, his big thing for me was to save soldiers. And soldiers is generic, meaning all the service members, but he wants me to save soldiers so that they're not hanging out with him, and that all these other soldiers are in line with him right now, and he don't want any more people to join him. So he is with me, and Rob, Mom, go, constantly. You got this. Yes, it's okay to grieve, but you have work to do. So I believe he is always with me and protecting me and guiding me. And I talk to him freely every day, and he shows up. So I don't think that I'm protecting him. It isn't necessarily about his name, although, yes, I love to talk about him. And I understand it's hard for some people. They need to know that I'm okay with it, which I am. And I try to educate people. It's important to talk about people. Because just like all your other kids, everybody else talks about their kids, say their names and talk about him. He's still my son. But what I do isn't about his name, really. It isn't. That's not even the goal. The goal is to protect others.
Yeah. His purpose.
And he is sharing the purpose with me. We are together in this, and I'm not protecting him as much as he's protecting me.
Yeah.
It's that which moves me forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking about it as maybe it should have been said, preserve his purpose, preserve and protect his purpose. Like you're on a mission, to help save other soldiers' lives, and that's part of his mission too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Want to add more to that?
Yeah. If Joey were sitting in here in this conversation with us, he would be fired up. And he would want to give accolades to me. Because I have letters from him that say, Mom, you're the most important person in my life. I love you, and I could never measure up to anything you have ever done for me. I could never do that in my life. You are the most important person in my life. And it's heartbreaking when I read those, because he would send them in a letter. He would mail me a letter, and I'm like, what? He mailed me one not too long before he passed away. And so he lives within me all the time. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about that, except that I have to complete this mission, and I will devote my life to doing what I need to do to keep keep our service members healthy, and starting with physicals, which it's nonsense why we don't do physicals. It actually makes no sense to me at all. But he wants me to do whatever I can, and he is proud of me. I know he's proud of me.
Yeah.
And he knows that he is pushing me to keep doing this. And when I was in that room at the motor pool with all these other soldiers, there were 30 soldiers there for 3 hours. 30 soldiers.
Where?
On at Fort Hood.
Okay.
After his memorial service, you know, the very solemn one with the boots and the dog tags. And his staff sergeant said, and Jeff was with me too. So it was Jeff and I, and they said, you need to go to the motor pool because all these soldiers are waiting for you. I had no idea what I was coming into. It was somebody watching the door for 3 hours. And they said, we know you're that mom. I said, what are you saying? So it goes back to the Greyhound bus story. And I don't even know if you know this story.
No, I don't.
But it was a Thanksgiving of 2021. He died February 2022. He was supposed to take the bus home, take it from Killeen to Waco, Waco to Navasota, by Montgomery County. And I was going to pick him up on Thanksgiving evening. And we were with Janie and her family having a Thanksgiving meal, I believe. And then we went to go pick him up. And he says, Mom, I got bad news. I didn't make the bus. I said, tell me about that. What happened? And he goes, they came early. I said, they came early? Well, they came, I think it was like an hour early, which is wrong.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and sure enough, I was able to see online they came early, and I was fuming, and Joey was mad, and he was scared, and it was cold, and it was Thanksgiving. He had to call another soldier to come pick him up from Killeen, and I said, I will take care of this. Well, I did, after making phone calls and different things, and trying to get a hold of somebody because they're not open on a holiday. Why would Greyhound not be open on a holiday?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not even a person to talk to. It doesn't happen. So then I contacted one of my media sources who had connections with TV in Waco. Joey's story was on the news. It was on the 6 p.m. news on that Black Friday, so to speak. And it was also on again at 10 about this soldier that was left stranded on Thanksgiving because the Greyhound bus went an hour early. And I told Joey, I said, you need to tell this story. He goes, why, Mom? Seriously? And I said, because that could have been a mom with her kids there that are left stranded on a Thanksgiving in a bad area. Because, bus stations are they're notoriously in bad areas, right? So this was a bad area. I said, Joey, stay under that camera. Just stay under there. And he said there were some weird things going on. I said, just do the best. And it was cold.
Yeah.
So, so that's what happened in that is it was on the TV news. And my phone started blowing up because apparently they put my phone number on the news. And people were wanting to give him a ride. I said, that's not the point. The point is not the ride. Well, then I had a Greyhound representative, district manager, regional manager, whatever. And he contacted me. He goes, well, how about you get an Uber and we reimburse you? I said, that doesn't work for me. First of all, that's over a 3-hour drive. That ain't going to happen. So he goes, let me work something out. I said, you do realize they're asking me for what's going to happen on the 10 p.m. edition of this news.
Yeah.
So he called me back. He goes, how about we fly him home? Because he was missing a funeral of a family member that was that Saturday, too, the next day. And I said, okay, give me the details. That'll work for me. And so they did. They flew him home. And so anyway, the soldiers were bringing that up. They go, we know what you did with Greyhound. You are that mom. You need to get to the bottom of this and take care of Joey. And I'm like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
So, that was a small thing, but I have taken care of the situation they were concerned about and took it to the next level when I found out there was more to Joey's story than was out there.
Wow. That's insane. I think that the fact that 30 guys, 30 of his in his platoon or squad are telling you.
They were crying. They were all visibly crying. They said he should not have died.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know what to say because I didn't know why he died.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know for 4 months.
Yeah.
They didn't know either. They just knew he was being unjustly treated and targeted. And they were concerned about it.
Yeah. That's yeah. As you were speaking, I was like visualizing that whole experience for you, you know, like that even their voices like were like coming, you know, out. Like I could feel what they, you know, them talking to you that way and saying you're that mom.
They loved Joey. I mean, when I had the service in Conroe, which was prior to this one at Fort Hood, the one at Fort Hood was the end of the month in February. The one we had locally in Conroe was so well attended that to this day, and that was 4.5 years ago, that's the most people they've ever had at that church. They had to bus them in from another church.
Yeah.
And 54 soldiers drove down on their own time and their own money in personal vehicles to attend in uniform Joey's service.
You said there was more to the story. What, you want to expand on that?
About Joey and why?
Yeah.
Well, he was being targeted by his company leader, a captain over the 150 soldiers, which I didn't know about, and he didn't want me to know. And that's what the other soldiers were saying. They go, we kept telling him that he needed to tell his mama because you are that mama, and he would never tell you. And I said, no, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know why suddenly he was getting depressed. It was because this gentleman was specifically targeting him and making him undo things that others were not told to do. And he just, he drug tested Joey all the time to no avail. He wasn't on drugs or anything.
Yeah.
And it was because it was starting to get to Joey. It was starting to make him feel bad. And I could tell that. So I would go visit him and we'd bring the dog and we'd take him out to eat and try to just spend time. I got him books written in a dog's point of view, you know, because he loved animals. And I called him, text him whenever I could. But they knew something was wrong with Joey because he's a normally happy-going, laughter kind of guy. And they were concerned for him and how he was being treated. There was a lot more to the story, but he was evidently being targeted. And the lieutenant colonel, who never knew Joey because they move around, and, you know, 2 years you're here and 2 years there, whatever, reached out to me for 2 years, actually, after Joey's death, even when he was deployed. And he said, I'm taking care of that man. He won't be a problem anymore. And he was taken care of. Let's just say that. He might have been dishonorably discharged.
Oh, wow.
Not just based on what I said. He was doing other things.
Yeah, the culmination, I think.
Joey always took in other shifts for people who had a family or anything. He would work a double or a triple or whatever. It didn't matter to him. He just wanted to help. He wanted to be of service to other people. And people loved being around him. You know, I had heard from one of his close soldiers that Joey was going around to people saying, you know, our God is an awesome God. I'm like, I didn't know Joey did that. And so he was just well liked.
Yeah.
And they were all concerned. That's why 30 soldiers talked to me for several hours. And I even got a picture of all of us together.
Wow.
And yeah, he was just a good guy.
What, you know, I've read your posts, you know, very detailed stuff. What ultimately happened?
So I did not know truly why Joey died for approximately 4 months, which to me is a little weird. And nobody could give me a straight answer. So being a PR professional, I know how to reach out to the media, and I did go to the media. And the Killeen Daily News, I believe it was, reached out to the CID office, Criminal Investigation Division, and they said, you need to get this mama an autopsy report by this date, which was a Friday, as a matter of fact. And they came within an hour of that timeline. I got the autopsy, and I'm not a medical professional, although I've learned a lot more about that and the legal system, policy, a lot more now. But at the time, I didn't know what to do with this. So I contacted our district attorney, who's now is a state senator, as a matter of fact. He's kind of moved up into that. But I contacted him, and he says, you need to get with this other gentleman who used to be the medical examiner in Galveston. He's in private practice. And reached out to that guy, and he got the autopsy, and within, I don't know, a day or two, he got back and he says, Joey didn't die of anything they're telling me he died of. He had a heart 3 times the normal size. That's why he died. And that doesn't happen the night before. That happens over a period of time. And he goes, and this is from their autopsy. Because they said Joey died of accidental mixed drug interrogation intoxication. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. Basically saying he took the wrong prescription drugs, and that's why he died. He goes, that wouldn't have caused him to have a massive heart attack. Yeah. And he goes, and what they gave him are anxiety meds that should never be given to someone with a heart condition. So Joey was given these medications, prescription drugs, which I have in my personal being, and that was in January when he came back from Christmas holiday, and he died February 1st.
Yeah.
So he said, this gentleman said, you need to go backwards in his medical records and find something that indicates he had a heart condition. And I'm like, okay, one more thing that I have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
So I had about 580 pages hard copy that I was able to get through our past Congressman Kevin Brady's chief of staff, Dave Davis, who also was in the Army. He kept calling Fort Hood and saying, this mama needs the medical records. And in Texas, if a person dies and they don't have children, they're not married, the next of kin is the parents, period. That's Texas law. You're in Texas. And he was calling and he says, I don't believe you want another Vanessa Guillen on your hands. Said, this mama will never stop. She is a PR professional, and you're hitting hell if you don't help her. Well, obviously I haven't stopped.
Yeah.
I guess there's something about that personality I have or something that conveys. And yeah, I am that mom. Yeah. That is absolutely true. And so I went through those pages, and ironically, I got some of that. I got some, and it was FedEx to me or whatever, and I found that there was some lab work that was done of March 17th. It was St. Patrick's Day of 2021. And that lab, because he was in ICU at Darnell Hospital on Fort Hood, and he was in ICU because they thought he might have had some kind of brain injury. And I said, what? Because they called me, a medic called me and said, we want to do an MRI on your son. Can we do that? I said, well, yeah, but why? And I said, why are you calling me? What's going on? And I said, well, your mother and next of kin, which is significant. They said that. He goes, your mother and next of kin, and we think he might have a brain. I said, yeah, absolutely. But can you call me back? Well, of course they said they would, and they never did. So I'm calling numbers for many hours. And shortly before midnight, I got a hold of an ICU nurse at Darnell Hospital. She goes, we have your son. He was over-medicated from his LASIK eye correction surgery, which he thought was the best thing he ever had done, because then he didn't have to wear contacts or any of that. And that's why he's in ICU, but he's fine. Don't worry about it. He doesn't have an MRI. Anyway, so when I got the medical records, after I finally got them, it showed the blood work, which was the only blood work he ever had done in almost 5 years of service. It showed he had elevated heart troponin levels. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I do now, of course, and looked it up, and that was it. That was it right there. Why would you have elevated heart enzyme levels unless you had a heart condition? So they put that in his medical records, because I found it. Again, I'm not a medic or anything. Yeah. And I said, wow, so that's where it started. Possibly. I mean, it could have been, he had a whatever. I don't know. He didn't have it when he went in. Yeah. I don't know what caused it. That's not the issue. The issue is he had a heart condition and nobody told him. Yeah. Nobody ever told him. So that's when I also found out that I needed all his medical records. Well, the Army wouldn't give me all the medical records, because I had to prove I was mother and next to kin. Oh, remember where they said I was Army and next to kin? Which actually is in Army paperwork I have. So I had to go to a judge in Montgomery County, go through the whole wait time of getting on the docket, and she declared me mother next to kin. So then I got the whole medical records, which is a lot. And that's when I found out, he had a heart condition. And I also found out they haven't done physicals. He had something in October before he passed away in February, and it said a personal health care assessment. I'm like, what is that? And I look it up, and that means it's the online yes or no survey that nobody looks at and nobody cares what you say, and they move on. Unless you have a certain MOS, military occupation, and you're a pilot or have a certain job duty, or that you are a higher level officer, then you get a physical in person. But your average, which is most of the military, right? And we're talking about Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, SpaceX, all of them. Don't do physicals. Is that alarming? It should be alarming.
Yeah.
It should be alarming. To me, it was alarming. And they haven't done this since 2016. How many years is that? Easy. 10 years. 10 years they've been doing PHAs online, yes or no questions that nobody reads. So I've talked to people in D.C. over the last 4.5 years, but the defense fellows are the ones also who are active military. They're doing a year internship, so to speak, working for a congressman or a senator, and they're great. And they said, you're right. And we hate it. We absolutely hate it. So they're advocates too. So that's my big push. If they had a physical, they would have determined that something was wrong, because doing an online survey, as we know, can't determine if somebody has diabetes or cancer or heart condition or anything even small, any issue whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can't tell if somebody has pneumonia, let's say, that can then go into sepsis or anything. You can't tell anything. Yeah. So why is this okay? And when did they change it? If our firefighters, law enforcement, commercial truck drivers, school kids have to have physicals, but not the people who carry a gun and put their life on the line to serve our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic?
Yeah.
Is that absurd?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm fired up.
Yeah. That's a...
What do you do with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you let it go?
Yeah.
Or do you pursue it?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. Is like, okay, so you dig in, right? And as you're talking,
it's been a struggle.
Have you shared that, right? It's like the immensity of it, right? It's like your the way you emote yourself with it, right? It's like the immensity of it. And I'm going, how did you break through, the fourth wall, right? In
the walls are always there, but I push through them.
But how did you? I mean, what have you have you done a self-examination of when you look at him and say, what is the secret sauce to getting through all that bureaucracy, all the learning about policies and the bureaucracy? What was it about? What is this? What is it that broke those walls down? What would you say?
Joey.
Yeah.
One word, Joey. But
I don't know.
He would want me to do this because he knows his mom. He knows who I am, and I believe in some manner, this is my mission in life, that I was chosen by God to do this. I was chosen, that you go through chapters in your life, and I work in PR. I know how to get things done. I know how to get the right people. I know I have relationships with people, and I know how to get in the door. And what better person to do this than a Gold Star mom who lost her son, and is passionate, but also has the professional experience to do different things. I believe this is my mission.
Yeah.
Given by God, and that's what keeps me focused. And it isn't without challenges and obstacles, Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not an easy slam dunk. You would think it would be, but it obviously is not. And I've had many calls, many visits in person, many emails, many different things. And when I first went through Joey's medical records, I found there were 5 things that were wrong that I wanted to change. And I was going to change them all. You know, whether a medic can dispense prescriptions without knowing the controversies after 2 months of training. And I mean, there were so many things.
Yeah.
And suicide and health, mental health, all those things were in there too. And then I was instructed by my congressman office, the legislative directors, usually who I work with, the legislative directors, pick one thing. Let's pick one thing and do it right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, I didn't even know what the NDAA. He goes, well, you know, you're here because I was told by my congressman, go out there, make a list of everybody who represents Texas, everybody who is in the House Armed Services, and go see them. So I did. I made my list, did all that. Of course, I've gotten much better and smarter about all this over years. And I didn't even know why I had to hurry and go out there at the end of February. And when I met with the legislative director, he goes, well, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to go after physicals in person with a blood work. He goes, but you need to get this done before the NDAA. I said, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, it's the National Defense Authorization Act, which they do annually. March 1st is their deadline, and there's a whole process, and I learn more and more about the process. I probably know more than most congressmen do about the DOD process.
Yeah.
It isn't a slam dunk. There's lots of small talks, and there's lots of different things that happen. But they do this annually for the Department of Defense budget, Department of War budget, whatever you want to call it, NDAA, DOD, whatever. And there's a whole process, and then they pick their priorities and where they're at now. The House has already picked their priorities. The Senate is done some of their priorities, but they're still gleaning it. And people who aren't on the Senate Armed Services, like our representatives, Cornyn and Cruz, can put an amendment in there to then be in conversation. Are we going to allow that? And they go into conference. Only select members of both the House and the Senate Armed Services Committee are chosen to be on the conference, which then they glean it again, and then it goes before the president. What I want to do, honestly, I want to go before Trump and say, why the hell aren't we doing this? I want to go before Hickseth and go, really?
Yeah.
You know, let's do testosterone. Well, how about you go back to basic physicals?
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing that? Let's start with that. Do a basic physical. So, yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah.
So I've gotten farther this year than I have in past years. It was turned down. I went out there 2023, and it did not make the 2024 NDAA, didn't make 25, didn't make 26. So I have gotten smarter or luckier, I don't know, maybe a little of both. You know, maybe it's relationships. It is relationships. Everything is about relationships in life. And now Senator Cornyn and Cruz submitted a bill that's in the Senate. Cruz co-sponsored, Cornyn put it in there June 24th. And they are in small talks now to do a pilot program, which it's a pilot program. It's a way in the door. It's a grain of salt. It's a mustard seed, but I will slam that door open a little bit wider. Just get me in there for the audience. So I'm good with that. And it's the test pilot is to do a program with 100, 200 soldiers at Fort Hood and another Army installation, but Fort Hood being where Joey died and also the deadliest installation in the country. I'm all for it. But there's also precedence because I found through Congressman Fallon's office last month that they've been doing a program with special ops in the Army physicals and finding it does make a difference. They're finding issues. What a surprise. So I have that precedence too. So that's where we're at.
Man, you shake the ground when you talk, Margie. Like everything you just gone through right now, just, everything that you just talked about is just so like, and I know people who watch this are going to be like, how do you emotionally navigate through, the onslaught of information, that you have to take in and, you have to combat like use the first thing, a lot of things you were saying as you were talking was like, I don't know what that was. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know.
Learn.
Yeah.
We go back to the first question that we started with.
Yeah.
Mom is my biggest role.
Yeah.
It comes back to that. It comes back to that. If you know something's, and that's also a big thing. If you know something's wrong, say something. It doesn't matter what it is in life. If you feel like something is wrong, and if you don't know how to deal with it, or that isn't your skill set, tell somebody else who does have that skill set.
Yeah.
Because I'm one person. I'm one mom. I'm not a policy maker. I'm not an elected official. I have no real power except being a mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think being a mom is my biggest role, because that's what makes me an advocate for so many things. And all the other things are just kind of icing that help me navigate better. And also another win that just happened is, this is actually pretty big. And it's interesting how everything is kind of syncing together in this sphere, in this time. And there's a reason, and that's God.
Yeah.
Joey was considered not in the line of duty while he was sleeping in his barracks, and he died, which to me is amazing, because they said, well, first of all, if somebody, well, let me go backwards. So I never even got a line of duty report. I didn't get it for 2.5 years until I was calling Fort Hood continuously, and they knew who I was. They go, wait, we know who you are. You're that mom that has a bill in Congress. And I was, yeah, I'm that mom. Hasn't gone anywhere, but yeah, I'm that mom. And so I was calling, and they have to answer you within 48 hours. And then they answered me. They said, okay, you can't get the line of duty report. And this, again, let me repeat that. That was actually 4.5 years ago, right now. We're in July of 2026. Joey died February 2022. So this is 4.5 years later. So 2 years ago, I started calling them, and I said, I need that line of duty. They said, you can't have it if your son didn't die of suicide, he didn't die while being deployed, and he didn't die in a training accident. So I passed that off to my attorney. He goes, well, cite them section whatever of the Department of Defense, which kind of trumps Army protocol. And I did that. I sent that to them in an email. And I said, and by the way, my attorney is on this correspondence. They said, when did you want to meet? I'm like, interesting. You just have to trump them, which I'm not against the military at all. I am out to try to save lives and say, hey, this is what's right. You're supposed to give me a line of duty report within months. And it's been, 2.5 years. So I sat down, and we had a formal meeting, and I had my attorney, my husband, I had a representative from Senator Cruz's office. They had their JAG officer. They had their second in command at Fort Hood. And then they had a lieutenant colonel who worked with me in the past on the issue I had with the leadership there.
Yeah.
So we were buddies, and I laid out pictures of Joey, and they said, okay, here's the report. We repeated the report. And so again, we met 2 years ago. This was 2 years ago that I met. Just this week, it was reversed. And honestly, I believe it was because Senator Cornyn helped me get this done, because they cited that in a letter I got from the Army 2 days ago. It said, and because of Senator Cornyn being involved. So that was a direct thing that they said. So that's a big victory, because they were basically saying that they weren't accountable for Joey's death, that he did this himself in misconduct or whatever. Now that has changed, which doesn't really happen with any frequency at all.
Yeah.
You can't find precedents anywhere if you Google it. Could be because it's secret, or because it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That the Army changes their mind on a line of duty statement, I guess, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So that opens up the door that maybe there was a reason he died.
Yeah.
So all I really want is there to be precedence in some respect so that it doesn't happen to another family.
Yeah.
I cannot bring Joey back, otherwise I'd do it to everybody. You just wave the wand and make that happen. We cannot do that.
Yeah.
But all we can do is live with their memory, remember them, and, to do something so this doesn't happen to another family, anybody else, whether it's a mother, father, sister, brother, wife, husband, whatever. if there's any precedence at all, it will change things. It's kind of like when you have kids and you allow a behavior to manifest. If you don't have any consequences, you see the behavior repeated, right?
Yeah.
Joey is not the only one that's had this happen. Joey is one, and I don't know all the others, but I know a lot of them from across the country. Believe you. People have called me and want to know how. Other mothers, mostly. I mentor other mothers and across the country and give them some advice if I can, or put them in the right direction, or tell them to talk to their legislator, any of that, their congressperson, their senator, whatever it is. I just want them to do better. That's really it. I want them to be better so that our people are safe.
Yeah. And be consistent, right? Just be more thorough,
Yes.
Yeah.
I want them to treat it as if they were their child.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you want this to happen to your child?
Right. Right.
Would you be passionate about it if it happened to your child?
Yeah. And it's cool. It's crazy to think, because when I thought, like when you shared that story that things got reversed, I said, I wonder how much Trump played a role in this, but it was John Cornyn, Senator Cornyn that made it.
Well, funny you should say Trump, because I actually wrote an online request. I think it was December 31st, actually. I was like, it's the end of the year. So I did, not expecting anything ever. And then, of course, I got to meet. Yes, we got your letter and blah, 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 blah. Well, not too long ago, I would say it was last month, I think, looked to me, because it was all official and it was all enclosed. I got a wet signature from Trump acknowledging Joey's death. And I don't know if I mentioned that to you.
Yeah,
I
think I saw something like that. Or maybe you sent it to me. Yeah,
did I? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, so there's so many things that are kind of just aligning after 4.5 years that it kind of, it's great.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It's beyond amazing. And this has nothing to do with monetary. This is nothing. This is about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If you see something wrong, don't walk away. Do something.
Yeah. I have a friend that has a first-person connection with Pete Hegseth. So his name is Paul Slough. He was one of the wrongfully convicted Biden 4. He went to prison he was supposed to go for 35 years, but Trump pardoned him in 20 and his first term out of it. Maybe y'all should connect somehow.
I would love to. I would love to talk to anybody. I don't.
And
honestly, I think people just don't know about some of this stuff, because it happens at one level and it doesn't move up to the next level.
Yeah.
Because it's squashed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not military.
Yeah.
And I don't assume to know, but I do know a lot of conversation that things don't move up.
Yeah. We'll figure out how to get y'all connected, because he's I think he does work with one of the House of Representatives for sure, Jared Patterson. That's what it is. So maybe y'all can connect with y'all, connect y'all to each other. I really love Paul. He's an amazing man, and his journey and being wrongfully convicted. And he understands how it was the Biden 4, right? He was insistent on pressing. They had already threw the case out 2 or 3 other times, and then Biden was insistent on making an example of these guys, and he fell into that bureaucratic nightmare and all the legal stuff with that. And his wife too, she did without her husband and for 8 years, and it's an amazing story. And we got to connect to it, because I'll have that same kind of a journey where some malpractice and that kind of thing. So
well, and my thing is, it's not a negative thing. It's about how we can do better. I don't want anybody to think that I am down on anything military, because this is my own time, my own money, my own everything, my own energy.
Yeah.
And I just want our military to be healthy and safe.
Yeah.
And it's like my little bracelet I made that has the power words of prevent, protect, honor, and serve. I want us to protect them and prevent things, honor them, and serve them as they do us.
Yeah.
That's what I think our role as Americans is, to do everything we can for our military. It was a mistake.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
But own up to it and let's move on. Let's make things better.
Yeah.
That's all. It was negligence. It was an error. It was whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentional. There was never intent to harm someone. I don't believe anybody does things
There's a gap.
intentionally. But
There's a gap.
yeah, there's a gap. It was an oversight. It was a whatever. But I want an apology.
Yeah.
You know, I think other parents deserve an apology. Other wives or husbands deserve an apology. And I don't even know what that looks like. That's beyond my scope.
Yeah.
But, you know, I am passionate about this. And I think you have asked me that about advocacy. And I probably just jumped ahead here.
That's okay.
But that is, yes, that is my main focus and thing that I am very excited about. I love policy and advocating for policy and military policy, and I just want to get in there and do it. Forget about the small talk. Forget about talking about the shoes of the suit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about business.
Yeah.
And why are we getting this stuff done?
Yeah.
Why does it take so long? Come on.
Yeah.
Just make it happen. Make it a good experience.
Yeah.
Figure out what the end goal is and then figure out how to get there. Dream it and then plan for it. Where is your goal? What are you hoping to accomplish? Let's then streamline and don't worry about all these little critical steps along the way. Figure the big goal so that you have a way to get there and then plan and put the right people in place to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's it. It seems simple. You're like, that's all. That's a lot for some people, I guess, you know. And I, you know, having been in the military, I know there are gaps, you know. You just do.
Well, it happens. They're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge. And so many people.
But-
how many people are we talking about?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. How many? 4 million maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
With all the military, all the branches and the reserve and all the stuff. So, you know, you talk about, so my bill is to mandate physicals with blood work. That's it. There's other stuff, tests, which actually I didn't ask for all those tests to be on there, but I just want blood work. They could go to anywhere. It doesn't have to be a medic.
Yeah.
As we all know, you can go to some other place, Quest, Diagnostics, whatever, get blood draw. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can make an appointment at your convenience. They're pretty open all the time. Get that done. Do a 15-minute physical once a year. Already have the blood done so they can already look at it and out of there. And if it shows outcomes that are preventable, then get it done and move on. It's going to save money for veteran care. I know those are different budgets.
Yeah.
You got the Veterans Affairs and you got the DOD, but in the long run, figure it out.
Yeah.
Because then, number one, it will note pre-existing conditions on your medical records that, yes, this did happen. Yes, it was found that you had, I don't know, a blood disease or whatever the heck it is. Maybe it's something very small.
Yeah.
Maybe you have asthma. I don't know. But, you know, there's precedence for that. So then get treated as a veteran so that the veterans don't have to go, well, I did get this during service. Well, there's nothing saying you did. Well, it's because we haven't done physicals.
Yeah.
So, and it's common sense. If we have to have our kids in high school get a physical before they play athletics, why aren't we doing this for our military? And why are more people in their 20s and 30s having heart attacks?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's crazy. You know, as you're talking, I was wondering, like, when as a Gold Star mother, you're part of it. You're part of the American Gold Star Mothers Association. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's just a veteran service organization to help veterans at the core of it.
Yeah.
And that's not related to my legislation.
Yeah.
That's just an advocacy thing that I do with other mothers. Yes.
As you walk through this journey that you've been on with such passion and you know, insistence, how do you navigate that into the Gold Star Moms Association?
Well, I am a Gold Star mom.
Yeah.
But the American Gold Star Moms doesn't do anything with legislation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And
Just in general.
that in general, I mean, I just think it's an extension of what I do because I'm advocating for moms and, getting them more involved in doing different veteran things, either to help Gold Star families or veterans or active military. That's kind of the gist of it. And I do that anyway. I am a Veterans Affairs volunteer person. I donate probably 3 hours every Monday at the local VA clinic in my community. And I am a representative for Texas, Oklahoma for AGSM. And I am a representative over at the DeBakey Center in Houston. I actually have a meeting coming up this week. We have quarterly meetings, and I learn about events and different things that volunteers can get involved with, occasional volunteers, as they call them, which are those that don't have to be vetted. I am vetted. I have a card. I have a government-issued 5-year card. I've been through all the questionnaires, which I had nothing to hide. Go ahead, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I like it. I enjoy it. So what I do in that role is I call about 300 veterans every week and let them know about their upcoming appointments. And it's a human voice. It's a human touch.
Yeah.
Yes, they get a text. Yes, they get some in the mail, but you would be surprised how many say, oh, I didn't know I had an appointment tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's the reason, because they've been waiting for this appointment for, I don't know how long, probably a period of time, maybe 6 months, or and they probably forget or they didn't put it in their calendar.
Yeah.
Not everybody does like I do. I put everything in there, but, so I'm just a gentle reminder and touching base with them, or I say Merry Christmas with that, or whatever is, and, sometimes they want me to do things that are out of my hand because I have no control. I have a number and I have a name. I don't know anything of their history. I don't know if they have to get blood work. I don't know anything. Well, can you reschedule? No, I can't, but I can have somebody call you.
Yeah.
Well, what about this and that? If I can answer them intelligently, I can tell them where the direction is. I can tell them where they need to go because it's with their primary care doctor. And I like doing that. I like being a part of the VFW auxiliary. I like being involved in all those things.
Yeah.
And as far as AGSM, that's an extension of who I am.
Yeah.
And I do lead the chapter and the department at a officer, and now I'm on the National Executive Board for AGSM, and I am a deputy for their VAVs, Volunteer Affairs Service Member for that, and other committees, and I will be carrying the Banner Guard flag. But very specifically, that is not related to what I'm doing. That is an extension of who I am. It is who I am, and I'm always going to be a Gold Star mom, period. So that's just another organization that I belong to, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
Because it was an elected position.
That's beautiful. Margie, one of the biggest things now that I'm learning as we're sitting here talking is that your advocacy for physical exams, right, or blood work, right, is a small way to look at it, right, and it's a simple way, but when I look at you, when I listen to you talk, it's like your advocacy is like has like tentacles in it, right? You know what I mean? It's like you're hitting all these areas where that people don't see multi-dimensional reach. It's like a spider web where one connects to this, one connects to that. You're changing policy. You're changing the way people should look at those that enlist, and it just keeps growing and going and growing and going, and it's mapping a beautiful thing. And the fruits of your labor came, just yesterday. When did it come? When did you get that letter that the reversal was? When did that?
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah, everything is kind of all connected all at once. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But what I want you to know is, I do other things too.
Yeah.
Number one, I have my business. I have a public relations business.
Talk about that. Yeah.
And I also volunteer for other things. I'm part of the Downtown Conroe Board of Directors, and I am working to get Christmas and make it a big thing in downtown Conroe, like people go to Fredericksburg or they go to Grapevine or wherever. So I had a meeting with the mayor this week about how we can make this big, and we need to get it in Texas Monthly. And and I'm just as passionate.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be 100% behind it, or I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just saying, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And so I am very connected to a lot of different things. My husband, Jeff, would say, seriously? But he is very proud of me. He always tells me that. And I always ask him, are you proud of me? He goes, why do you ask me that all the time? Of course I am. And he is behind me all the way for everything that I'm doing as far as higher level legislation. He was a little leery at first because, you know, this was in the beginning, and probably, so Joey died in February. In February, a year later in 2023, I was asked to go to Congress and, you know, see these people and do all this stuff. And he goes, I don't know about all this. He goes, what if nobody listens? What if you don't make a difference? What if you just get disappointed? Because he's concerned about me.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's seen me cry. And he's often asked in the early times, are you going to cry every night? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. so I don't know. Of course, I don't anymore, but certain triggers and things, I've learned to walk with Joey. Joey accompanies me. Joey's listening. Joey gets it. And I watch for signs, and it makes me happy because I have a different perspective on life, of course, but it's more of a, like you were talking about inner perspective and, you know, life changes and things like that. I notice it's kind of like, you know, smell the flowers, smell the coffee, all that.
Yeah.
Definitely a part of my life. I notice little things, you know, maybe you see the cardinal. Oh, yeah, I see the cardinals, but I also see the butterflies, and I see different signs of my son that unless you're in the zone, you don't pay attention, which was me. I am always busy and I'm running and I'm doing things. And yes, I do sleep at night, but I have to like wind myself down.
Like,
so,
W-I-N-A.
Yeah, seriously. You know, I have to take melatonin at night to just like decompress. I have to watch a stupid drama, real life, something or other. I'm like laughing at other people like, y'all's life is not really like this. My life is not like that. But, you know, but I want to bring my husband, Jeff, into this because he has been an advocate with me the whole time. And he said that, what if you don't make a difference? But now, years later, he goes, you are making a difference. You are, and people are listening, and I'm 100% with you. And he was so excited when we got this news a couple days ago. And he said, I just had to go outside and just be.
Yeah.
Just be. He goes, this is huge. I said, yeah. And why is it huge? Because it vindicates my son and puts honor on him that he did not do anything to cause his death. And that is really important to me.
Yeah.
I am honoring him. Yes, I am honored. That isn't necessarily the reason why I do what I do, but it's part of it. It's integrated in. And by me pushing and getting this stuff done, it's honoring his name.
Yeah.
And I can see him. Of course, he's here.
Yeah.
And he hated this picture. It seems to be all over because he smiled.
Yeah, he's our picture.
Yeah, I guess you're not supposed to smile or whatever. And I mean, he re-enlisted and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And he was going to be career at one time until he was being targeted, which I didn't know about because, you know, my husband says, well, he hated the Army. I said he hated the Army when he was being targeted, but we didn't know he was being targeted.
Yeah.
And he was trying to push him out of the Army. He was trying to chapter him out, this guy.
Yeah.
And he died instead of all of that. So this honors his name.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, if nothing else happens, I feel pleasure in that.
Yeah.
But I do see the signs. I do see the feathers that suddenly come in my path when I'm walking. So I didn't talk that. You know, I was a 30-year marathon runner, too.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because I was told I couldn't do it. Does that tell you anything about me?
Yes.
So I was told I could never run races because I have asthma. Well, my first race I ever ran was a 5K. No big deal, but I placed. And then my first marathon was in Houston when I was 37, I believe, on my birthday. And I came within 10 minutes of qualifying for Boston.
Wow.
So I made that my goal. This is the other side of me.
Yeah.
This shows you nothing has really changed. Yes, I've gotten brighter, let's say.
Yeah.
The light is shining in my focus.
Yeah.
But don't tell me I cannot do something. Well, and that was before Jeff and I were together. And so he goes, well, you'll never be able to run Boston. I ran the 100 Boston Marathon. Yes, I did. I did that 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I ran the Boston Marathon in 96.
Yeah.
And with 40,000 people. So it really wasn't a run. It was more like a party kind of situation. But I qualified for it. I qualified for it in Columbus, Ohio in 9-degree weather. And by the way, you know, Texas girl here.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was 9-degree weather, but I had the splits on my hand. So I was determined I was going to hit those splits at a certain time. I might have got hypothermia afterwards, but I came within 15 minutes of qualifying.
Wow.
I did it in 3:30.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes, I ran a lot of different races.
I saw some pictures, I think.
I ran New York,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't do marathons anymore now. I mostly do walks, and I do walkabouts, and I 2 miles, 2.5, whatever. I could run, and maybe I'm not supposed to, but maybe I do anyway when the weather is keen.
Yeah.
Weather doesn't bother me. Cold, hot, 100 degrees, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I get out and I walk, and I talk to my son.
Yeah.
And I also put my to-do list together, and then I come in and write it all day.
That's awesome.
So that's the other side of me. I'm a determined girl.
Yeah. That is very special, you know. When you reached out to me, I'm going to get emotional here.
It's okay to be emotional.
No, I know, but this is my show. I don't crack. No, I was kidding. No. When you reached out to me and shared the news of your son's the reversal on their determination of your son, I shared it with Courtney.
That never happens, does it?
Yeah. It just never happens. Number one, but the fact that you felt compelled to share it with me was such a special moment. Like it just really, it really meant a lot, because I think the pride in what the work you've done and what you've put into it, and you share it with me, you share it with somebody else, that this was accomplished, this has been accomplished, you know, and I just felt this adulation for you, for Joey, for your family, for the rehabilitation of that whole situation. In many ways, there's still another hill to climb, I think.
But this was a major one.
Yes, it was. Yes, it is.
Some people don't realize the significance.
It's an inflection point.
But he didn't die of anything he did. Why did he die?
Yeah.
You know, there's that question.
Yeah, there's a clear.
Well,
yeah.
It's in the autopsy why he died.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the essence of what I was sharing. Was like, you know how special.
It's pivotal.
Yeah, pivotal. Yeah, it's a pivotal moment.
Not that I like that word.
Yeah. I say it's a clarifying moment where you're like, that's right. You know, and all your culminating hard work has shown up in this one moment. And I hope that we can fuse you with a streamline like you're asking for, like you'd rather. I think that's where you, in essence, that's
what to the right person makes things happen.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's like, what do I say? Why do I have to start from point A when I can start from point B and get to C, right? Like I don't have to start from A. I can start from B to get to C, you know? Like, and I think that's the rise way. I think that's the appropriate
well,
for you. For sure.
How often, I mean, maybe it happens a lot. I don't know. Yeah. How often do our senators work together, Cornyn and Cruz, on one thing?
Yeah.
And they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That they're working together for the right reason.
Yeah.
You know, for our military.
And I think that that falls in line with what Hegseth his mindset is, right? It's like, hey, like we need to get healthy. We need to have healthy.
Well, and why PT alone is the answer. Yeah. Joey loved PT. He loved running. He loved singing cadence while he's running. Come on, Mom.
Right.
Really? He did it every day.
Yeah.
And he died of a massive heart attack that he didn't know he had it. He was taking things that made it worse.
Yeah.
And his anxiety, he thought it was just so here's the kicker. He thought it was just anxiety from his toxic commander. He had no idea he had a heart issue. No idea at all. I mean, had he even told me, I could have taken him to a doctor. I would have paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you know all about Margie. You've told about my family and all of that. And I'm down to earth. I'm a basic girl, mom. I just try to find the joy in Joey, because that's what the key is. There is joy, and Joey wants me to have a good life. He doesn't want me to be sad. He doesn't want me to constantly cry. Yeah, there's things sometimes. Blink-182. I didn't mention Blink-182. That's his music.
Okay.
Blink-182.
Okay.
All the small things.
Yeah.
What's my age again? Well, his age was 32, and I mentioned that at his service when I taught. He liked macaroni and cheese. Loved macaroni and cheese. He said he could make the best macaroni and cheese in the world. And he was in a competition that last Christmas. So funny. And yeah, he just likes some cheese. Cheese by itself. He liked cheese. So
I like him already.
he's that guy. He was just a simple guy. And his song is 8675309.
Okay.
And that's a thing. That was actually the passcode to his phone.
Really?
And the Army kept asking me, what is the passcode? What is the passcode? I'm like, I don't know. Ava, his cat. I mean, I would say things. As soon as I got his phone back, which happened around the same time as I finally got the medical records, like 4 months later, I knew what the code was. How does that happen?
Yeah.
And ironically, whenever something good is about to happen, that song comes on the radio. Truly.
Yeah.
Or the Tom Petty song about how you can take me to the gates of hell and I won't back down.
Yeah. Nice.
Or Living on a Prayer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's always the music.
Margie, it's such a pleasure to have had you on the podcast. You showed your heart, your spirit, the tenacity, all of it, like raw and gritty, and
it is raw.
It is raw and gritty, and not, and that have to be pretty. But you know, it don't matter. You don't have to have time for you know, you have set a little time for emotions, but like you don't have time to get stuck in the feeling so much. You know, like you penetrate where you need to go. If you point that way, you're going that way. You know, and nothing's going to get in your way. And that is so amazing. I think that was one of the reasons I embodied your mindset when I was getting ready to be the most vulnerable in front of people. Was like I had a point where I was like, man, Margie Taylor, she's got this thing. You know, I want to walk in here with somebody on my show.
I'm not scary.
You're not scary. No, you're you are like, you know what you're getting. You know what, you're very determined, and that's the way I had to have that presence in front of individuals, and then have the softer, gentler, the more, that too, it's,
I am gentle.
Yes, you are. Yeah, for sure.
I'm just focused.
You're focused. Yeah. And no, I think it's both. And it's a compliment that we know each other, and that we spent time together today, and spent time with Joey today, and he's so proud of you, and everybody's so proud of you, and we're looking forward to the next great victory. And I speak that over your life right now in Jesus' name. That the next great victory is to get whatever's due, along with what this great rehabilitation of Joey's reputation and all that, and now we know the truth. The truth has been, like I said, I never understood that the truth will eventually come to light, and it has.
In time, when it's the right time.
Yeah.
Nothing is easy, because then you wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way life is. And we all have different challenges in life that we don't expect.
Yeah.
And we have to learn to move forward with those.
Yeah.
And it could be life-changing.
Yeah.
Or it could be something small. Or maybe we get connected to the right people that we don't know they're going to be a part of our life yet, but then they are later on. We don't know. We're not in charge.
Yeah, man.
I mean, yes, we have free will. I do believe in free will. And you could turn it around, but then it's going to come back to you again. So every time I would try to get off the so-called path, it's like, No, you got to come back to this path. This is the path you're on. I'm like, well, I don't know how. I don't know what I'm doing. I have never done this. I have never been to Washington, D.C. But it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It's okay to have mishaps.
Yeah.
Just stay the course.
Yeah.
If you believe in your heart that something needs to be done, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Figure it out. Find your passion.
Yeah. It's true. I mean,
Live and enjoy life.
absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Live and enjoy life. Put yourself up, like too, I say, put yourself in places that you've never been before. Like you said, you put yourself in a place where you've never been before, Being with Gold Star moms, for me, it's like, hey, you've never done this before. Like and now you've developed a true friendship with 3 Gold Star moms, and that's.
I have a lot of Gold Star moms in my across the country, whether they're part of AGSM or not.
Yeah.
I've known a lot through that, but there's others that I speak to that just get resourced to me.
Yeah.
And I have a page for my son that I write on every day, whether anybody reads it or not. Who knows?
Yeah.
But apparently people do. And, so people have reached out to me. I mean, people know me in the community. I write a column every week for the last 9 years. And I volunteer to do that every week. There's a lot. Sometimes I forget because I just do things.
Yeah.
You get on autopilot.
Yeah.
But it isn't about me. It's about the reason I do things is for the community, for the military, I can't really think of anything that's just really about me except walking and getting out. That's me. I don't take my phone.
Yeah.
Which is, my husband would say, is unheard of.
Yeah, I was going to say, what?
My phone it doesn't even come up on my watch because once I track my mileage, it stops it. I don't get any distractions when I'm out walking. So sometimes you do things because you just need that peace.
I'm so excited to know you, more of you today, and know you, period. Like, I mean, you're kind of one of those it's kind of like you're one of those essential assets in my life and Courtney's life too. Like, because you motivate us and inspire us to get.
Well, see, I don't know how I do that because I used to be the quiet, shy girl because I just never thought anything of myself and I didn't have self-confidence. Actually, running brought me confidence because then I was in running magazines and I was ranked like number 17 in Houston for a while and I just had that natural ability and it gave me that confidence. I think that was a chapter in my life to give me the confidence and prepare me for something I didn't know was coming.
Yeah.
Let's say. I think there was a plan. I honestly do. I think all of us have a plan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we don't know what it is until later or whenever. And so that way we can fulfill our mission in life. But, the lasting thing I want you to remember is there's joy in Joey.
Yes.
Joy is in Joey.
Yes.
And sometimes when I'm spelling it, Joey comes up and it just kind of goes that way. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, we need to also get a acronym for mom for you. Like, you ever see those tattoos people get that say mom? Like, I was just thinking, no, I'm not saying you. I
have these two hibiscus from Hawaii.
Okay, I was gonna say that's the kind of mom you get. It like says mom, you say that's my mom. Like
I do have Joey on my ankle.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Okay.
I have a little. I don't know what it is. It's like an angel wing thing.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Jay and Joey.
Nice.
So,
well, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Yesterday I had Christy on the podcast, and that was a beautiful conversation as well. It was the spirit of both sons in my home and their moms coming in and spending time reminiscing about things and also understanding the hill they had to climb, and it's been such a beautiful experience to share time with both y'all. And I just want you to know that I'm happy to call you a friend and
absolutely
sister and all the above.
Yes, and so Joey's not leaving now that you open the door. That's the way that works.
That's great.
And Christy's son isn't leaving either.
That's great.
They probably are hanging out together.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Like that's exactly what I.
And Carla's son.
Yeah,
Paul is hanging out too.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest part of this thing is like my experience in this journey with in this experience is in embodiment. It's like that picture where Gage is in the background. I'm hugging.
Yes, I saw it.
And she was emotional at that moment, and she got really emotional later on. And I was consoling her, and it was just like, you know, and then Gage is in the background. I was like, man, was that guy just tapping me on the shoulder saying, okay, I'm next. So Christy's next, my mom. And it just, you
just have to believe.
Yep.
That's what faith is.
It is.
You believe or you don't believe.
Yeah.
And I believe.
Yeah, so do I.
So a lot of people think that you lose faith when you lose your child and you blame God.
Yeah.
I was never in that mode. I never blamed God. I just felt like there was another reason. And I kind of past all that, and it's like, what happened? But without faith, I wouldn't be able to live a day.
Yeah.
Without faith, I wouldn't have the power, the motivation, the passion, anything to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's faith and knowing that there's more, and that our children see us and are part of our lives still, that moves me forward and helps me adjust. Even though I can't see him, again, I see signs, and I know he's been there. Or I could tell you other things that have happened that there's no reason for them.
Yeah.
Or things have moved, or things like that. Something like a candle that says Stars and Stripes on it suddenly is in a different place, and I didn't move it, neither did my husband. There's things that are specific things that would relate back to him. So in life, you just have to have faith.
Yeah.
You have to have faith.
Yeah.
In all the unseen.
And all the unseen. I love that for sure. And because he knows he's more than you can ever imagine. And here we are, more than we could ever imagine. And in this particular moment in your life. And yeah, it's beautiful. Margie, it is a pleasure to have
you
on Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. We're going to take a lot away from this conversation. You're a living example of persistence, consistency, perseverance, determination, fight, grittiness, all of those things. And
nothing bad though, right?
No, hell no. Those are not in my world. Those aren't bad.
Okay.
And even the bad stuff's good. Sometimes you need to be, insistent, and getting what you need to vindicate your son and to bring the truth to light. So I really admire and appreciate you. I'm going to connect you with Paul for sure after this podcast, and I would love for you to get that streamlined this thing, and we'll break.
Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Fireworks.
Yeah, I'll be fireworks. I'll be like, Paul did it. Y'all did it together, and I want to hopefully it can play a role in that somehow. Margie, thank you very much for coming all the way from Conroe, Texas, to be on the podcast. This podcast is going to go everywhere, and I'll make sure that. Love you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you back.
All right, guys, that's it for Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. As I always say, have peace and light in you, and remember that the ocean refuses no river.
The room grows quiet, but love